You talk too much, and it's destroying everything you're trying to build. Right now, in this moment, you probably don't even realize how much damage you're doing every single time you open your mouth. You think you're building connections. You think you're being helpful. You think you're establishing your expertise, but you're wrong. Dead wrong. Every unnecessary word that leaves your lips is a leak in your power. Every overshared detail is a vulnerability handed to people who don't deserve it. Every time you fill silence with nervous chatter, you're screaming to the world that you're uncomfortable with who you are. Think about the last meeting you were in, the last conversation with someone important, the last time you had an opportunity to make an impression. How much did you talk? How many times did you interrupt? How many times did you explain something that didn't need explaining? How many times did you justify your position when silence would have been stronger? You talked yourself out of respect. You talked yourself out of mystery. You talked yourself out of power. And the worst part, you have no idea you're doing it. This isn't just about being annoying. This goes deeper than social etiquette. Every word you speak without intention is costing you something real. When you share your plans too early, you kill them. There's actual research on this. The moment you verbalize a goal to someone else, your brain gets a premature sense of accomplishment. It releases dopamine like you've already done the work, so you never do the work. You become that person who's always talking about what they're going to do, but never actually does it. Everyone knows someone like this. Don't be that person. Then there's credibility. The more you talk, the more opportunities you create to contradict yourself, to say something stupid, to reveal you don't know as much as you pretended to know. Quiet people are perceived as competent because they don't give themselves enough rope to hang themselves with. You do. Every single day. You also leak energy like a broken faucet. Talking is expensive. It requires mental processing, emotional regulation, and constant calibration of how you're being received. Meanwhile, the person who stays silent is conserving all that energy. They're observing, they're learning. They're 3 steps ahead of you while you're busy performing. And here's the brutal truth nobody wants to hear. When you talk too much, people stop listening. Your words lose value. You become background noise. But the person who speaks rarely, when they finally open their mouth, the entire room goes silent. They've created scarcity. They've built anticipation. Their words carry weight because they're rare. Your words carry nothing because they're abundant and cheap. You've flooded the market with your own currency and destroyed its value. But silence isn't what you think it is. It's not awkwardness. It's not weakness. It's not the absence of something. Silence is a weapon, and the most dangerous people in any room know exactly how to use it. Look at every powerful leader throughout history. They don't ramble. They don't over-explain. They speak in short, calculated bursts that hit like hammers. When Steve Jobs presented a product, he used silence to let ideas breathe. When Obama debated, he paused to let his opponent's words hang in the air and self-destruct. When top-tier negotiators sit across the table, you know the first person to speak after an offer loses. Silence creates tension, and tension creates movement. The quiet person controls the room because everyone else is scrambling to fill the void. In relationships, the person who talks less has more power. They're not chasing validation. They're not constantly seeking approval. They maintain mystery. They make others work to understand them. And people value what they have to work for. In business, the silent strategist sees everything. While everyone else is busy talking, competing for airtime, trying to be heard, the quiet one is reading body language, noticing who agrees with whom, seeing the real power dynamics beneath the surface conversation. They're gathering intelligence while you're busy broadcasting yours. This isn't about being antisocial. This is about being strategic. This is about understanding that your attention, your words, and your thoughts are the most valuable resources you have, and you've been giving them away for free. Here's why it works. Your brain is wired to fill gaps. When someone stays silent, your brain goes into overdrive trying to figure out what they're thinking. You project intelligence onto them. Competence. Depth. This is called the halo effect of silence. The less someone reveals, the more we assume they're hiding something valuable. It's also about status. Talking too much is a low status behavior. It signals insecurity. It signals a need for approval. High status individuals don't explain themselves unless absolutely necessary. They don't justify. They don't seek permission. They simply state and move on. When you stay silent, you also activate mirror neurons in others. They become more self-conscious. They start monitoring their own behavior. They begin to seek your approval instead of the other way around. The power dynamic flips without you saying a single word. And here's the kicker: listening gives you leverage. When you shut up and actually listen, people tell you everything: their fears, their motivations, their weaknesses. They hand you the playbook to their psychology, and they thank you for it because you made them feel heard. Meanwhile, you've gathered every piece of information you need to stay 10 steps ahead. The person who talks reveals themselves. The person who listens controls the game. You want respect? Stop begging for it with your words. Command it with your silence. So how do you actually do this? How do you break the addiction to talking? Start with the 3-second rule. Before you respond to anything, count to 3 internally, slowly. This does 2 things. It makes you appear more thoughtful, and it filters out 90% of the stupid things you were about to say. Most of your words are reactions, not responses. Reactions are emotional and weak. Responses are calculated and strong. 3 seconds turns reactions into responses. Next, weaponize questions. When someone asks you something, don't automatically answer. Ask a clarifying question instead. Make them work. Make them think. This flips the script. They came to extract information from you, and now they're the ones explaining themselves. It also buys you time to formulate a better response or realize you don't need to respond at all. Learn to be comfortable in dead air. This is the hardest part. Silence feels like death to most people. They'll do anything to avoid it. But if you can sit in silence without flinching, without filling it with nervous laughter or pointless words, you become the exception. Practice this everywhere. In elevators, on dates, let the silence exist. Watch how uncomfortable it makes everyone else. Watch how they scramble to fill it. That discomfort is your power. Also, stop explaining yourself. When you make a decision, state it and stop. No justifications, no apologies, no long-winded rationale, just the decision. When people push back, repeat the decision, same words, same tone. They'll either accept it or move on. But you don't owe anyone a dissertation on your thought process. And here's a daily practice. Set a word budget. Decide in the morning that you're only going to speak 200 words today, or 100. Make every single word count. You'll be shocked at how much you can communicate with less. You'll also be shocked at how much more people respect you when you stop being a human podcast. Imagine the version of you 6 months from now who has mastered this. You walk into a room and everyone notices, not because you announced yourself, but because you didn't. You sit in meetings and say nothing for 40 minutes, then drop one sentence that changes the entire direction of the conversation. People lean in when you speak. They quote you. They wonder what you're thinking. You've become magnetic not by adding more, but by subtracting everything that didn't matter. Your relationships deepen because you stopped performing and started connecting. Your career accelerates because you're no longer seen as the try-hard who talks too much, but as the strategist who thinks 10 moves ahead. Your mental space clears because you're not constantly processing what to say next. You're present, you're calm, you're in control. This is what's waiting for you on the other side of silence. But it requires you to do something most people will never do. Shut up. Starting right now, for the next 24 hours, cut your words in half. Whatever you were going to say half of it. Watch what happens. Watch how people respond to you differently. Watch how much more you notice. Watch how much more powerful you feel. Then cut it in half again. Keep going until your words are rare, valuable, and impossible to ignore. The art of silence isn't about becoming a mute. It's about becoming someone whose words actually matter. And that starts the moment you stop wasting them. So the question is simple. Are you going to keep bleeding power through your mouth, or are you finally going to shut up and take it back? The choice is yours, but the clock is ticking. And every word you waste is another opportunity lost forever.